Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the SATAMonkeys podcast that is now bi-weekly. I'm your host, Earth the Fat, and today I am joined by Chumgus, or Charles. Nutpacker, Zyre JWC.
If I cut out, it's my mic that died.
And Ryan, or Ryan. That's just it. You're just
Hello.
Ryan.
Peter.
Yeah, and fun story about Zyre's mic. Right before we started the podcast, I believe you said it was your boom arm broke.
Yep. Matt, if I could just remind me to take a picture, we could insert this right here. It's good. It's what I would want my mic to be if it wasn't hanging by the auxiliary cord.
Yeah, picture like the type of microphones you see in a movie set where they hang it over the person's head, and then just take away the part where there's like an actual pole to that and it's just holding by like the actual cord. And that's Zyre's mic setup right now.
Yeah, the XLR cord is kind of yeah, no, it's not good.
It's now it's the physical support structure now. So if Zyre's mic does have any issues, like him not being completely clear, we apologize. There's not a whole lot we can do on such short notice. Of like literally like the past like 20 minutes. So
yeah.
Sorry about that. But we do have some pretty interesting topics, and they're actually interesting. I can say that now, and it's not just me saying they're interesting when they're not. Because since we're doing this bi-weekly, we can actually wait a little bit and accrue some really good topics to talk about, and then talk about them. So, and also thank you guys so much, those of you who tuned in to the Lego Batman 2 video that was released. This piece of Lego Batman history was almost lost to time. That took a week straight of like just almost purely editing, and there was a lot of effort put into that video, and it's really nice to see it.
I wish. Yeah. Sorry for cutting you off. I wish I took the screenshots of how many hours elapsed on Discord. He was in Adobe Premiere. It was funny. Every time I'd open Discord, it'd just say Adobe Premiere. And I'm like, did he close the app or has he just kept it open? Because like that's how much he's been working on it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's been pretty nuts. I've been trying pretty hard to get everything right, and there's still parts of it. It's funny that we're rushed because it was the last day, and I'm like, this is okay. This was just a stand-in, but it'll work. And the video released, and a lot of people liked it, and someone even compared it to the style that I was actually basing on. They said it reminded them of it, and that was really cool to see. So thank you guys for, I believe it's at like 56 or 57 views on that. That means a lot more than you realize. It is not a small number to us. That's very, very, very nice, especially, and also, and that does not account for our channel subscriber count, which is literally this is my old channel that was rebranded, so that's why it's so high and our viewer ratio is so low, and it's fine. I don't expect high views.
We're not botting views.
Yeah, we're not botting views, and it's
the throwback.
It's very nice to see 56 people. So thank you all for watching that. Now getting into the podcast and not rambling for 3 minutes and 16 seconds. Well, we'll get into the actual meat here. This first story is from Gamers Nexus, and it's on NZXT. The title is NZXT bait and switch on the PCIe riser replacement. Just do the right thing. And the concept here, the content of the video, I won't give all the details because it's a 14-minute video. You should go watch it, watch their content. They're independent creators. And so when NZXT had this riser issue, if you guys don't know what that is, we actually did cover that in previous episodes, along with Gamers Nexus extensive videos on it. I believe they said they did 5 videos at this point. NZXT, in their H1 case, shipped this PCIe riser where the screw that held it in is made of metal, and it's not internally threaded. Or, excuse me, the internal threading on the PCB is not plated, rather. And because it's not plated, there was actually a trace on the board that had something, I believe it's something to do with a power rail, where if the screw was unscrewed and put back in enough, it would eat through the PCB enough where it would make contact with this this trace, and it could literally just spontaneously cause a fire, and it had. After multiple people telling NZXT like this happened, they said nothing. Gamers Nexus made a video, and after I think like 2 days, they finally said, okay, we're gonna start formally recalling them. We're gonna offer refunds and stuff, and they eventually sent Gamers Nexus a replacement riser. saying this is the new and improved one. This one does not catch fire and everything. And they sent him it and they reviewed it and said this one's good. It's clearly not the same PCB. It's completely redesigned, and it did not catch fire in their testing, and it is plated. Well, now what they've done is, instead of actually mass shipping to customers the PCIe riser that they were expecting, the one shown in Gamers Nexus video, the one that is fixed, many people are receiving what looks to be the original riser, but with a gold plate over the top of one of the screw hole that it goes into, as well as nylon screws instead of metal, so that wouldn't catch a trace. Gamers Nexus actually they got a hold of one of these. I'm not sure if it was one or multiple, but it looked to be one. It
was one.
Yeah.
It was one.
One of these new, and quotes on new, but one of these new risers. They did test it. They did not actually find that there was anything, they didn't cause a fire with them. They didn't find anything like that, but they do look to be the exact same PCB as the old ones that did catch fire, with plating on the top and I think the bottom, but for some reason not the actual inside, like the threading where the main issue is. And I have no idea why they didn't do that, because that's the source of the issue. That said, now this gets into my take. That's the gist of it. And and for more context, Gamers Nexus are pretty mad that they feel like they've been bait and switched, where NZXT is like, we're doing the right thing, here's our replacement, and then they're shipping out a different one that looks different to the one they shown, and also looks like the old one. And there's no guarantees on it that they won't catch fire, because Gamers Nexus tested one. That doesn't prove that they all won't. So the issue I have with it is, as much as I do kind of agree with Steve, Gamers Nexus Steve, I think he kind of blew it a bit out of proportion. And he did state it was a social issue multiple times in the video, and I think it is indeed very much a social issue. I don't see this as a major problem, because I have not heard of a single person having them these catch fire yet. Not the bait and switch ones. But that's my take on it.
I mean, yeah, you said that earlier, and I was like, I completely understand. Even if it is a social issue, he deserves to be mad. I think you can't just lie and send it to a company that gives good promotion, and they know, okay, they're gonna say something shitty about us. We have to give them the better version and say, okay, it's good, but then just blindside them and say, oh, that's completely different, and that makes their company look bad. It looks like they're in cahoots with NZXT, which I understand.
Yeah.
And I don't think they deserve it. They're mad. Them being mad is like bad at all. I understand it.
I get it. I understand what, to be fair, that point in the video was pretty good. Like, that it does make Gamers Nexus look bad, as well as NZXT.
Yeah, it makes them both look bad, but it looks like Gamers Nexus is in cahoots with NZXT or just lying, and that's why I like the way they said this was their last video on, and they're not gonna say anything about it. But I understand when they're mad.
Yeah, what they've it makes sense. I don't know. Steve really played it up at the beginning, and then it leads into they've listed him in a Twitter thing as their like demolitions expert dude, but he's they're the guy who tested the risers. They lead into him, and he's pretty calm and like, yeah, as much as it's kind of it is a bait and switch, there's nothing seemingly wrong with this riser. We've tested it and it's fine. So, and again, that's not representative of all of them. That's one. I believe the same thing goes for the one example they received of the supposed new ones that they got from NZXT originally. But either way, I don't know. I don't think it's as big an issue as they were stating. But it is still an issue. And one that NZXT likely won't address at all, and which will make it, to me, at that point, if NZXT don't say anything about it, which as of now I've not seen them say a single thing, to me it becomes kind of a bigger issue, because NZXT need to start responding more to when, especially the people who called them out enough to get them to actually like start a formal recall, they need to start like listening to these people, and Gamers Nexus like specifically, if anyone, they really need to listen to the people who like made their company look awful because they were being awful and they were just not recalling something that could catch your house on fire. Gamers Nexus kind of called NZXT out on that, and it kind of forced them to do it. They need to be listening to these guys, because they know if they don't, they're going to get on their ass again. And they clearly have here. I don't know, Charles, what's your take here?
I don't. I think it's not really that huge a deal because it doesn't catch people's houses on fire.
That's
I
true.
mean, it is kind of like offensive because it feels like they pulled a bait and switch, but I mean, if it solves the problem, then it's so.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I think the problem is what they're saying is they NZXT showed them, they're like, oh, this is the new one. They fixed everything. That everything's good, but they shipped something completely different out to the consumers, not the company. So they just lied altogether. They just lied to Nexus and sorry and the consumers because they think they're getting something that they actually didn't.
Yeah, they sending it, and they send the media outlet the really grand version, and then the one the consumers get is worse. And in that extent, I can understand it, but what I'd rather and the way NZXT can resolve this, um, if like they really want like a concrete resolve, they can do one of two things here. They can come out and like formally state that these new risers have been, these quote new end quote. It looks like they're repurposed from the broken ones, and they've just been repurposed and at the very least on a manufacturer level slightly confirmed that they don't catch fire. We don't really know what the process is for that because we don't work there, but they could either just come out and flat out say that no, we've done tons of testing and they do not catch fire still, we've fixed that issue. How many people would believe them? I don't know. And the way they could remedy that is by literally just sending Gamers Nexus like 10 packs of both versions and have them do tests on each 10 pack and make sure that now you can't really make sure they're not cherry picked at that point. But that probably even like that I just feel like that'd be the best way in for them to do anything. But I also don't think there's a lot they can do here. I don't even think that sending Gamers
I don't
Nexus
think that'll help anything at this point.
I think it would help, but it would be marginal. It would not really be much help. It just
was NZXT or not NZXT. Was Gamers Nexus the only one that got this?
No. Okay. What do you mean in this? The new riser?
The riser. Did they get the new riser? Like did they get the so you know how
did they get the actual new riser?
Yes.
They were not the only ones to get it. There's photos of a few people who are consumers actually having received the new riser, the actual new riser, the one that isn't repurposed. But it looks like a lot more people are receiving the repurposed one than are receiving the actual new one.
What about other companies like NZXT? Like,
well, I don't think any other like big media outlet has been sent any of these. I mean that that was like super well documented because Gamers Nexus were really the only media outlet to like whistleblow this and really bring it to everyone's attention. Like Linus Tech haven't done anything with this, I don't believe. I don't think Jay's 2 Cents has. What's a dude's name? Nitwit Kyle, whatever his name is, Bitwit. That's his channel.
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't talked about it, I don't think. Or at the very least, he's probably talked about it, but I don't think he's done anything with it or any testing. This is pretty much Gamers Nexus' sole territory, and they're known for their good and fair testing methodologies, and they didn't just light the thing on fire. But Gamers Nexus were the only media outlet that I know of that was actively shipped the actual new replacement, and were not sent the repurposed one at all. You would think they'd send them both if they were going to say
true.
Yeah. And I guess that's where the problem stems, is that they didn't tell Gamers Nexus that they were going to use multiple manufacturers, and which to me doesn't even seem like a proper argument. It's very clearly a repurposed original one that catches fire. They could have just said they're repurposing them and refurbishing them so they function without catching fire, and then let them know.
Couldn't Gamers Nexus... No, that's dumb. Never mind.
All right. Epic, do you have anything to say? Ryan?
Oh, it just makes me not really want to buy from NZXT.
Even more. That's the thing.
Yeah, like if you're gonna lie about that stuff, that's a serious issue because of how dangerous the what was originally shipped was.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes me, and the sucky thing for me is my NZXT Phantom 410. I like it. Like, I like it well enough. It's either Phantom 210 or sorry, Phantom 410 or 240. I never remember which it is. Because one of them doesn't exist, and it was told it does. But I didn't have the hard drive base for it. This is a now 11-year-old case, and I didn't when I bought it. At the time, it was only like 9 years old. I didn't have any of the hard drive bay plastics except like I think one. And I emailed NZXT like, hey, do you guys happen to have any? Because I couldn't find any anywhere. And they're like, yeah, we actually have like a few in our office. And they offered, I paid them and they shipped them to me. So like my customer experience with them has been nothing but good. And it's only happened once. So it just, I don't know. I kind of thought they had pretty good customer support, but it's very clear from this they don't. At least not in the your shit catches fire aspect. I still stand by being surprised that they had, new old stock of a part that they made 10 years ago. But this is still unacceptable, and it just makes them look worse. And their Twitter sucks, by the way. I don't know if anyone's looked at their Twitter. All they do is like do the company, not shit post, but like try and be relatable and funny, like Wendy's used to do originally.
Nah, but Wendy's is goated though. Wendy's is.
They
goated.
also blocked Too Mad.
Like when
didn't he like flame them or something?
No, I just kept asking for a free PC over and over again. They just blocked him.
It's funny because I don't know how they can't see the humor in Too Mad doing that. Like it's pretty obvious that it's
That
just
could
a
have been a
joke.
good promotional stunt too.
It really could have. But their Twitter kind of sucks, and they were criticized during the whole fire thing. They were just seen responding to customers in annoying ass ways on Twitter. And then also beforehand, there was the issue with NZXT that we were actually featured in Gamers Next. This is, I think, a year ago now. With the whole thing about RAM and overclocking your RAM and it coming pre-overclocked, and then this guy it didn't, and he wanted to, and they said it would void his warranty. And we actually let Gamers Nexus know about that one, and they covered it in their video, and we were seeing it, which was pretty cool, albeit on a different ad. But like that was, I guess that's another thing. And currently, what they're doing on their Twitter at that time was responding to people like, hey, there's this issue with my there's a screw in my computer. It doesn't want to tighten it tighten, and they're like, just tighten it harder. Like they're being assholes to their customers, and I never understood it. I don't think they do it as much anymore, but they still do. So
I mean, the whole year change thing. You think they weaved it out that much?
I have no idea. I don't know. NZXT's always, ever since that shit with seeing their tweets of like people saying they're having issues with their stuff, and they're like, just screw it harder. Just screw it in harder.
Screw it in better, forehead.
Yeah, it reminds me in the worst way possible of Apple's, like the signature Apple thing of you're doing it wrong. You're cleaning your keyboard wrong. And Apple publishing a full guide on how to properly compressed air down your keyboard instead of just replacing the butterfly keyboard that was faulty, and that they've now finally, like a while ago, they started offering I believe it's like free replacements.
Wasn't that like 2 years ago?
Not well, it happened 2 years ago, but the recently it was like they started allowing you to get free replacements for butterfly keyboards. It's because there was a lawsuit. And that I believe that was part of the settlement. They have to replace them for free or something like that. For like a specific amount of time. So yeah, it reminded me of that, and I don't like that. Most people don't. But yeah, NZXT, I would steer clear of at this point. I will say they're old. If you can get their older cases, like we're talking literally 10 years old to 10 to 7 years old, they're fine. They're not the best for cooling, but they're fine. Some are really moddable, and they seem to have great support for like having new stock of old parts.
Well, that's just one experience. You can't be like, yeah, they're great for all of it, but that's just your.
That's
bay
true,
drives.
and it's definitely possible that they just had one size fits all drive bay things that went for a bunch of different models. Because the ones I received were not identical to the ones mine came with, but they fit and they're fine. But I don't know. That's just my experience. But overall, they don't seem like a company you'd want to ever buy anything from new like that, like any actual product. But yeah, so steer clear of NZXT. We'll move on to a story from The Verge. LiveLeak, the internet's font? Is it meant to say front? The internet's font?
No, font. It's like, it's an actual word.
Well, yeah, it is a word. I just normally see it in the context of like a font for text.
It's like I think font originally means like some almost like a fountain. I don't know.
Gotcha. At any rate, LiveLeak, the internet's font of gore and violence, has shut down after 15 years of operation.
Oh, that's crazy.
I've
Yeah.
always had like a I've never, I'll be honest, as much as I understand what LiveLeak was trying to do now, like reading this article went into what the guy's original mission was. I understand it was just trying to like have a place for that, not specifically gore content, but just an alternative place to upload almost anything to within reason. Like they're not gonna allow like CP on there, but like gory stuff like that YouTube would auto take down, and just other things that would get taken down for different debatably false or true reasons. Sorry for the beep there. I can understand the purpose behind it, but I really don't I just never liked it. I didn't like how it became the site of all gore.
It's just fucked up. I remember when I first, one of my friends told me, "Hey, go on this website real quick," and I saw something fucked up, and I knew from that day forth to never go on LiveLeak.
Yeah.
I like the memes where it's like when you see a LiveLeak logo appear over
In the
your
corner,
head.
you just click off.
Yeah.
You just got to get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I was only ever sent like one LiveLeak link ever by someone.
I think I know who it was.
Yeah, you do.
Yup. He's the one who showed me.
But I don't know. I don't remember if it was anything better or not. I didn't click it, but I was only ever sent that like that once by him. But yeah, no, I have no idea. I have no idea what to think on this, because on one hand, I understand their mission of just trying to preserve that, but it also seems like even they got fed up with just being the gore website. It says towards here, like on the bottom, what was it that they shown? What was it? Okay, this is in 2014. It's related to like putting ISIS beheadings on there. We've shown the world the true horror of this form of execution more than once in the past, and we cannot find any compelling reason to even be thought of as promoting the actions of this group. We know ISIS do not find support here on LiveLeak, and that condemnation is virtually universal, but there's no reason to show it, no reason at all to show it more. And I get that, and it seems like that's probably the reason why they shut down too. They just don't want to be the gore site. And I can also I wonder how bad the legal situation was getting with them.
I don't know. I've never heard about LiveLeaks in this legal situation.
I can't there's no way they haven't received like at least a couple lawsuits from
Was
from
it
things
run
like
in
that.
America?
I don't know. I
I
believe
highly
it is.
doubt it was.
Let's see here. Where was LiveLeak based? LiveLeak was British, surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
that's weird. You'd think it'd be like some like
yeah, you wouldn't expect that.
yeah.
Think like some outskirts of like Slovenia or Russia, you know, like some random place that just has some like no guidance on what the internet is.
Yeah, exactly. I genuinely did not know it was in like it was British. Apparently its headquarters were in London. But yeah, I guess I don't know. LiveLeak's dead. I don't think I doubt anyone's mourning it at this point. If people want to archive video, typically they can just use the Wayback Machine. You can literally upload a video directly to the Wayback Machine. You can upload any file. And I'm not sure. I think in almost every single case, almost, granted, it can't get taken down. It's there for preservation. And then there are others, if you really needed it, you could literally just buy a Vimeo account and host it on Vimeo. And no one's going to take it down.
Does Vimeo take it down?
If it's
Like,
private, well, Vimeo originally, I believe, was just meant to be like private storage you could pay for videos. So I don't believe they can take it down. I think I mean, realistically, if you upload something awful, they may, but I don't think they can take it down if it's just private and you're the only one who views it. I don't think they can. And most people are doing this for preservation. So to an extent, that is a form of it. At least it is preserved. Granted, no one else would see it. I guess I get why LiveLeak people would upload it there because it's public. But even so, there are other like public services you can upload videos to, be them small or huge. So I don't know, I guess. And just LiveLeak became like a cesspool of garbage is the way I see it. And I feel I get it why it was dissolved. What I wonder though is the people who would upload to LiveLeak, I wonder what is going to happen with that. I wonder if we're going to see a mass of people start trying to upload shit to YouTube or
the great YouTube the YouTube porn. Oh, Matt, have we talked about this on here?
we have, but I don't want to get into
Oh.
it because I don't want the video to get like blocked or age restricted.
True.
What was I gonna? Twitter is what I would think personally would be the biggest contender for them
I think Twitter takes down like anything fucked
Well,
up.
the thing is, people figured out there were very innocent seeming hashtags that barely any normal person used that if you put them into Twitter would bring up CP. This was within like the last year, and people uncovered it. And Twitter quickly, banned them and everything. And said they'd strengthen it, but apparently this was not the first time that happened. So Twitter's saying they'll make sure like they tighten their security probably doesn't mean jack shit. And what I will also say, in regards to like YouTube and that type of stuff, they're not perfect either. I believe at the time of saying this, currently, if you type in WhatsApp status and scroll down, you can find some pretty interesting shit. And that's all I can say about that without getting the video blocked or age
Are
restricted.
we gonna talk
boy.
about it later? Because I don't know about
Not
this.
on the podcast.
No, later.
Maybe we'll see. But yeah, no, I rip LiveLeak, I guess.
Don't say
but
that.
not
No,
really.
No.
Just rest LiveLeak.
Rest. Just sleep. There we go.
Yeah.
Don't even sleep. Just like kind of
fetal
crawl
position.
up.
Oh, I do have a good idea on
Just,
what would happen with with Twitter. You know how people are trying to do paid tweets, like you can pay for someone's like premium Twitter.
Yeah,
that's
that's
something
shit.
they're gonna do. I feel like that's something that they could do, and then just block it and make sure that no one can see it unless you pay for it. If it is fucked up, then
Well, but that's a way for Twitter to get into a bunch of lawsuits because they will make profit off of that, I think.
maybe.
I've not extensively looked into that system. I know it integrates with PayPal, but I would almost think Twitter would not introduce that in any form unless they got a cut of it. And if they're getting a cut off of fucked content, there's an issue. So I'm not sure how that would fly.
True.
We'll move on to a kind of out of left field story that I don't think anyone expected. This is actually pretty old at this point, but it's still, it's relevant enough. We'll talk about it. And we did not talk about this last podcast, correct? I do not believe we did.
No, I think we
No.
talked about it off podcast.
Yeah. This from CNBC, but you can find this literally anywhere. And this was the only article that was not about the recent rumors regarding them. I just wanted the actual original story. And we'll discuss the rumors, but I wanted the original story. Bill Gates and Melinda Gates are splitting up after 27 years. For context here, they list that Bill and Melinda Gates met at Microsoft and the two got married at 1994. The couple who agree to give away more than half their wealth will keep working together on charitable efforts, and financial implications are not immediately clear. Now, the only update I can say on that is apparently they've pretty much agreed, even though they don't have a prenup, they're going to just split everything down the middle, it seems, in terms of like who gets what and money. So I believe it was like
I wonder what Bill's ranking in the richest people are going to be now.
well, it's gonna go down pretty much, like a lot. I believe she's gonna get 127 billion, he's gonna get 127 billion or something like that.
The fact that you say that nonchalant is crazy, and
It is crazy. I just can't remember the numbers. That's why I'm saying quickly. 'cause
like
I don't
that's the thing. You could just say billion something and still be like, yeah, no, that's probably true. What he can get. That's like really crazy to me.
Yeah. And I think as well, I've read that a lot of it is the 1.37% that Bill Gates owns in Microsoft, which is worth itself. I believe I forget how many billion that said it was worth. It was worth a ton though. So I think he seems to be like Elon Musk in the sense that a lot of his riches are in stocks and they're not actual like money he has on hand, but there is still a lot of money he does have on hand. So this did seem out of left field, and it was very unclear why this happened. Apparently, as well, they're going to continue to run the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I'm not sure what it will be renamed to at right now. If it's going to be the Bill Gates and Melinda, whatever her last name is
We
Foundation.
divorced Lamau XD.
I don't. She might just keep her last name because I know some divorced women don't change their last name back.
Mm-hmm. It could be
So it could just be Bill and Melinda Gates.
And now to get to the rumors, because that was the biggest thing. Besides that, it was that what was going to happen to the Foundation, because he's not really big. They're not really doing much with Microsoft anymore. He's taking a back seat. It's just the Foundation that he really does stuff with now. So the rumors now. Adjust this mic thing here. There we go. One of the biggest rumors is that apparently in 2019, Melinda Gates started looking into divorcing Bill after he met with Jeffrey Epstein. That's been the rumor going around.
Oh no.
Well, hopefully it's just a rumor.
Yeah, Bill Gates is apparently on record saying that they were not friends. They did not have any friendship. It was not a business meeting. They just met each other. I'd love to know the context behind how he met Jeffrey Epstein. And this was apparently Jeffrey Epstein had accusations about him in 2013 as well. And they originally, I'm not sure. It's very unclear if it's saying they met in 2019 and then Melinda Gates got mad, or if it was the meet in 2013. But it was confirmed that they did meet in 2013 after some allegations against right after some allegations against Epstein came out. Bill met with Epstein, and those eventually got dismissed, and I think now at this point are confirmed true. After the second time it happened. But that's very interesting if that's what happened, but there's nothing to prove it right now. It's very much just a rumor with no proof. It's unsubstantiated. But I cannot imagine that. I don't know. I'd be very surprised if that was it, because I feel like the government would have arrested Bill Gates, but for some by now. He has no. Let's think about this. If he didn't meet with Jeffrey Epstein for a business reason, and if he didn't meet with Jeffrey Epstein because he's a friend, why the hell is he meeting with Jeffrey Epstein? I'm genuinely curious.
Children.
Rich people stick together.
That's true. That's very true. But I can't fathom a reason. And I'm not, for the record, I'm not suggesting the reason.
Was it one of the parties that Epstein holds?
That's actually possible, but I'm not sure. I haven't read too far into it. I just know that he did meet with Epstein in 2013.
I think it's in 2019.
I said I couldn't tell if they met again in 2019 or something like that. It was not clear with any of these articles, but it was clear they did at least meet in 2013. And in 2019 is when Melinda Gates started looking into a divorce. What I'm assuming, just going off of what I just said, is that he met with him in 2013, and it was also reported that Melinda Gates warned him that she didn't like him doing that. And then when all the 2019 allegations came out, apparently the rumor is that that's when she started filing for divorce. So there's a lot you can draw from that. I don't want to make accusations, and I'm not going to, because I don't have any small non-stated suggestion of what happened. I just genuinely don't understand why he would associate with Jeffrey Epstein. The other reason I could think of, actually, apparently Jeffrey Epstein was a philanthropist, and that's the only other reason I can see why. Is Bill Gates is also a philanthropist. He gives away billions of dollars to charities that need them. That's about the only other reason I would understand why. But I would consider that, even though it's for charity, I would consider that a business reason, or at the very least more than just, quote, we just met.
Yeah.
So it's very, I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see if this unfolds into anything, or if it's just this. And it does, ultimately, it seems to boil down more to celebrity reporting. So I'm not sure, we probably, unless there's something huge, we won't really be talking about this again. Because this really will probably become gossip for the next 3 months at least. But I don't know. It was shocking to wake up one morning and see that Bill and Melinda Gates are splitting up. Very unexpected.
Yeah, so if you wake up one morning, turn on your PC, and only half of it works, blame Melinda Gates.
Yeah, Melinda stole the other half. It was part of the settlement. And I think the best part is, when you said that, I could vividly envision half of my monitor not working, because that's actually happened. I've literally started up my computer and just had half of my monitor not turn on for some reason.
Nice.
But all right, that's that story. I was trying to say like not say yeah, and that just came out worse. So we're not gonna.
But yeah.
The god dang this story is from ARS Technica, and we have 2 more stories from ARS Technica coming up at the end. NVIDIA's RTX 3050 brings ray tracing and DLSS to $800 laptops. I literally pulled this up to read it and didn't. This is the only one I didn't read, and I thought I read it.
I gotta admit, that laptop in the main picture looks insane.
Wow, I've read more of the articles than Matt has. Wow,
I think you've made this joke before. This has happened before. Yeah, no, I actually thought I read this, and I just straight up didn't. I don't know why I thought I did. I literally clicked through all of them, and I guess I just didn't look at this one enough. Let's see here. The 3050, how does this compare? So it has a 128-bit memory bus instead of the 192-bit of the 3060 or the 256-bit of 3070 and 3080. Second generation ray tracing core. So it does have RT cores, even though it's a 3050. Granted, it's a laptop GPU, but with exceptions, this does imply, like in past generations, I think this does imply that the 3050 will see a non-laptop variant. And the fact that this would mean their entry-level card, their like bare minimum entry-level card has RT cores, it's probably not going to ray trace that well, but the fact that it can is kind of nuts. To think that now entry-level means you can have in some form ray tracing. It's what
But
else?
I also feel like they keep moving that entry level up with like every new generation.
Well, yeah.
Because now I'm
Do you mean
way
in price
below
or
entry
quality?
level.
Do you mean in price?
Both, basically, I guess.
Oh yeah. Well, I wouldn't say price. I don't think it's. I don't.
I'm saying like performance wise.
That's true. But one of the big things, at least I believe, is that the RT cores are not very easy to manufacture, and that's a big reason why they weren't included in the lesser cards. But also because if they put RT cores in like the in a 2050, let's say, they already don't perform very well on a 2060. So they're not gonna perform. They would not have performed well at all on like a 2050, which I don't believe ever came out. So I can't. If they're putting RT cores in a 3050, and let's assume that it does become a desktop GPU, it means that it's got to be good enough to run hopefully at least something at 30 frames with ray tracing. And I wonder.
Roblox.
Imagine. No, I wonder though what that would be. And again, this is speculation on my part. I don't know if there's a 3050 desktop coming out. This is literally just for laptops. But I kind of feel like if they're doing a 3050 for laptops, because I never heard of a 2050 for laptops. So if they're doing a 3050, there must be, in my opinion, there's one for PC coming soon. And it's probably what they're going to release instead of the proposed 3080. It was like Ti, I believe it was 3080 Ti. They were going to release originally, excuse me. And they didn't because of COVID and then the silicon shortage. So that's interesting enough. I am genuinely shocked that they're putting RT cores in a super low end thing, and it doesn't just say there are no tensor cores.
True.
I'm not saying but yeah, by the way.
But yeah, I don't know.
So I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything in this. Only 4 gigs of GDDR6 though. That's a little too little. That's not a lot. And 6 gig. I don't know. I guess it fits in the low range they're intending for it to. It doesn't look like the 3050 Ti is that much better. The only thing and I'd say the same thing about the 3060 laptop, but the only difference is it actually has a 192-bit bus, which does make a pretty big difference. So it is different enough, but I don't know. Pretty cool stuff. It talks about DLSS as well. It's gonna have DLSS, I think, or is it saying it doesn't? They just mentioned it at the end, I guess. That's cool. Move on to, I didn't say it, Charles, by the way. We'll move on to a different story. This is from IGN. Original Xbox dashboard now available on the Xbox Series X and S. Now, I actually selected this because the thumbnail for this actually made it look like you could get the original icons and way to move around the menus in some form. And that's not the case. You literally just get a green orb.
Absolutely disappointing. the Xbox is ruined.
Genuinely disappointing though. No, I would
My day
say
is ruined.
I get the joke. I actually am disappointed though. Would it be that hard, Microsoft? Would it be that hard to take the original menu from the original Xbox, make it on the new one, and just make, like, if you click a different menu thing, it opens up the normal Xbox menu of stuff, and you can navigate it that way? Would that be that hard?
No, you only have the background. Melinda took the other half.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that hard, and maybe they're trying to save one button press, but even so, like, you'd feel like people would be, at that point, you could charge for that if it's that radically different. You could charge $1 for that. And then you're so like you know what you're buying. I really, that's funny to me. They showed Titanfall 2 and Apex as the most recently played games on this guy's Xbox. And this guy's Xbox, I believe, X.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see Titanfall 2 back in the spotlight. Even
it's also funny how there's like almost no difference between the 1 and the X
in terms of the UI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that when Critical did his video way back when the X came out, on the UI, and how the PS5's UI looks, brand new. It's a brand new redesign. It's what you expect from a console. And then you look at the Series X, and it's the same thing, and it really doesn't look any different. And it is kind of boring. I don't know. It does just look copy pasted, and I think lots of it is.
I've never really liked the Xbox UI.
I really like the 360's original hamburger menu. Where it was more like pages and stuff that you would go. It wasn't like flat. It was you'd have to look it up. I think it's commonly referred to as the hamburger menu. But it was like the early Xbox 360 menu. I really liked it. Like, it's what I remember as the Xbox menu. And then they kind of changed it to what the 360 one is now, which is a blend of the original hamburger menu in many ways, and mainly the closer to the newer design. But everything was also a lot more compact and not spaced out in, just square boxes that don't look particularly great and look very generic and like Windows 10. And they don't look great in Windows 10. And they don't look great there. There was more character. There was more structure to the 360s, and I never really ever got around to liking the one on the Xbox One, and the Series X is the same thing. And then for the original Xbox, I mean, I already talked about that. I really liked how that one looked, even though I never owned it. I really did like how the original Xbox's UI looked. So interesting enough story, I guess. I got debated by the thumbnail on Twitter into thinking it was cool. And I did, to be fair, I did look it over before we recorded, but there was enough here that we would obviously have enough to talk about. Then I'm like, I'll just leave it in. We'll just cover it really quickly. So that's that story. Very, very minimal. If you want to buy the original green orb, which it doesn't even look original, by the way. I'm pretty sure a lot of that isn't. I think they redid it, which is fine, but I don't know why it says original, because it doesn't look original to me. I don't remember the patterns on the sides being that vivid. But I could be remembering wrong. I have never owned the thing. I've only seen high fidelity recordings of it on YouTube. We will move on to a story from Teslarati. Not sure why I picked this specific website for this story. I actually really don't remember picking this website, but I mean, I guess I did. I'll look here.
I hate the layout of this website.
Yeah, it kind of fucking sucks. But I guess they were the only ones that were talking about talking about it in past tense, because it did happen a while ago. So this actually happened, for context, the SpaceX launched the SN15 on, May 6th, and it was the first SpaceX rocket to launch.
And not blow up?
Well, yeah, launch, pivot, do its landing, and not explode on impact. Which is really cool.
I think the last time we talked about SpaceX, we were reacting to the explosion.
We were. It landed, and then it lasted for a bit, and then it fucking blew the fuck up. It's really cool. It's really cool to see that it's already, they actually managed to do it, because they've been trying to do this for a long time.
We live in the future now.
We really do. We're getting pretty damn close. I mean, we're sending Dogecoin to the fucking moon. That's an actual thing. Elon Musk said that the entire project, they're sending a rocket to the moon that has Dogecoin on it, and it was funded by Dogecoin, from what I've read. Which is stupid. Completely useless. but they're doing
Uh-huh.
Wow, we're at a point where we can have like rockets that can basically do whatever you want, but not Tesla AI that can that knows how to deal with a curve in the road.
that. Yeah, we'll put we'll use tons of fossil fuels to send digital bits into orbit. Instead of, like, correcting artificial intelligence to actually properly drive a car, because that's the path we're going with science. I'm not sure how much I agree as a Dogecoin owner. I'm not sure how much I agree with sending Dogecoin to the moon, literally, but I think this is just Elon's way of trying to like push Dogecoin's price up more.
I mean,
Didn't the price of Dogecoin drop during his like speech
Saturday
about
Night
it?
Live, boys.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was Dogecoin to the moon, everyone was saying, and he even said it on the on SNL. It started, it was dropping all that day because people were selling off in anticipation of SNL not being great, and then it just not doing as well as people thought. It actually started doing well. It had dropped from 70 cents before SNL, and it was dropping to around, I believe it was 58-ish cents or something like that, or 60. And the second SNL started, it rose like steadily, and then it got to 67 cents, 68, 71 cents, and I believe at 71, it looks like some Dogecoin whale, someone who owns a ton of it, just mass sold everything because it just instantly dipped to 54 cents. I watched it happen on Robinhood's live updater. It just went from 70, 71, 54. I'm like, what the fuck? And then it rose back to 69. Nice. And then it just steadily dropped down and has been dropping down since. And it sucks because I bought into Dogecoin at 70 cents. Not right then. It was actually the day prior. Anticipating it would at least go up a bit from 70 cents. A bit above the 71 peak. But no, it really didn't. It just kind of peaked at 71 and then dropped back down. And I believe it's still pretty low. So that's what happened with that. And also SNL fucking sucked, by the way. That whole episode wasn't great.
Isn't Nintendo suing them?
I don't know if they are, but I said I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Let's see. Is Nintendo suing SNL? Would not shock me. Not SML. Who the fuck is SNL? No, SNL. Is Nintendo? Man, Google really wants to correct what I'm typing as SNL. It currently does not look like they are. But it's only been about a few days. It would not shock me. It really would not shock me.
So I'm out of the loop. What did they do?
They did this They did this whole Mario Luigi in a courtroom bit. It was like Mario died to Wario being played by Elon Musk, and Luigi being played by I don't fucking remember. And it was a joke on Italian stuff, and like at the end they had Pete Davidson as Governor Cuomo come in and say, "Hi, I'm Governor Cuomo," and it was funny because he couldn't read the line, so he just stood there awkwardly for a second. It was hilarious. It wasn't even because it was bad. It was just so out of place. It was funny. That part specifically. But at one point, they had Princess Peach come on, which was actually a cameo from Elon Musk's girlfriend Grimes. She came on as Peach, and then they were trying to demonstrate how like Luigi wasn't innocent or something, and it had to do with his penis, and they kept saying Luigi and penis a lot. And then they showed a censored, like on this giant TV, this censored thing of Luigi with a penis out, and his penis growing with the Mario like mushroom increase noise, like the blop, 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 and his dick rose.
Imagine being a minimum wage worker and just seeing your boss on TV doing that.
Imagine having to animate Luigi's penis. Like, imagine having to do that. That's even
For
worse.
Saturday Night
Rule 34
Live,
artists.
too?
Can you imagine like them going to someone on Twitter like, "Yo, can you make us a Luigi's penis rising for SNL?" Trust me, it's not for personal use, bro. Like it's such a. I can only imagine how fucking like brain just fried the artist department must be there who had to make that. They must be fucking annoyed. And it's funny because the second I saw that, I literally said to my mom, "Nintendo's gonna fucking sue. There's no way they don't."
Well, I think it'll probably count as satire, so they probably won't.
You see, but this is the same Nintendo who don't give a shit about very clear fair use. If you uploaded you playing Mario Kart 8, like gameplay with commentary and everything, it's highly edited, And I don't, for the record, I don't like using this person as an example for obvious reasons. But MiniLad is an example. He when Mario Kart 8 was big, he was uploading just videos of him playing with friends, highly edited, like typical MiniLad Vanos gaming style content. And they would literally just strike it down because they said it was their game. What he's doing is fair use, but they're saying they just didn't give a shit.
Are they still doing that or no?
To a way lesser extent, yes. They do still strike down content like that. Not as much. It's more.
I'm surprised
focused on...
Twitch hasn't gotten fucked up on that.
I am too. But I think it's because Twitch doesn't have a great live copyright system. Not even now, when they said they have one, it's not really a thing. That gets enforced at any rate. I don't know why Twitch has skirted it, but I do know that Nintendo had big issues with YouTube videos, and apparently
I think Twitch and Nintendo have a deal. That's why.
Maybe. Possibly.
That's where the old Nintendo's tournaments, Big House and stuff like that, were ran through Twitch.
Yeah. Well, but sure, I think what most people consider Nintendo's big issue is, and we actually talked about this at some point. It was in a very early podcast episode. I think Nintendo's reason for striking people is probably they don't want swearing associated with their content. And at these tournaments, typically you don't see people just cussing and saying fucking shit in everything like that 5 seconds. And I bet that's why they really don't want it there. But the fact that they don't respect fair use law, I feel like they started striking things down, and once people started to actually consistently talk about it, they realized that if they keep doing this, the FCC is going to start looking into them. Or not FCC, just the government in general, because I can think of the correct thing, but they're going to start looking into them.
Yep.
Not the FBI, no. Probably the BBB, the Better Business Bureau. They probably start looking into them and seeing why the hell they're just straight up breaking copyright laws, because it is fair use. It's debatably fair use, and it would have to be upheld in a court of law. But all it would take is one lawyer to offer to 20 different people to represent them, and have 20 different suits against Nintendo like that, and the BBB would start looking into it and probably aid and say okay, Nintendo, you need to stop. And that was probably Nintendo's fear, is that they were going to get a government entity on their ass for false striking people. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they haven't sued yet. I would not be surprised if they do by the end of the week or the end of next week. And they're just drawing up court papers. Because you can only go so far with satire, at least in my opinion, to a point where you're just showing censored Luigi's penis rising with copyrighted Mario sounds.
That is a perfect sentence if I've ever heard one.
Thanks. But that was the SNL thing. But going back to Elon for a sec, this actual story, we'll get to the actual part of the story. SN15 is already back on a launch/landing pad, and it was predicted by some to launch today. It did not launch today, but they apparently did put some of the wings back on it. And Elon has already tweeted on the 7th that SN15, might try to refly SN15 soon, and they already have it back on the launch pad. So it looks like they are planning on launching SN15 again very soon. And it'll be interesting to see now, for the second time, if it can launch and land successfully. The one thing I remember from the SN15, which was consistent with many of them, one of the 3 engines, it could be intentional, but it really does seem like it fails, because it gets shaken around and it just blows itself out. And normally too, it also seems to take a camera out with it when it does that. And I don't know if that's intentional or if it's not. And to me, it doesn't seem like it. Because the thing seemed to land on 2 out of 3 engines, but it did still land. So I do wonder if they're going to if it's the same 3 engines or if one was replaced. And more importantly, the Falcon 9, when they recovered it, it took them 7 months to reuse the engine from it when it was recovered. But with the SN15, it's been a few days, and it's already back in a launch pad, being prepped presumably for a relaunch.
But wasn't the Falcon 9 the one that blew up?
No, that was a different SN, I believe. The Falcon 9's different. It's not the same program, I don't believe, from SpaceX. But it is ultimately something that they recovered parts from. I believe that's the one where they parts would strip off and it was overseas or something, or maybe it crashed in the ocean and they recovered it. I'm not sure. I'd have to look up more on Falcon 9. It's been a minute. I just know Falcon 9 and SpaceX are mentioned a lot, and they talk about in this, I believe, not a different article, about how it took 7 months for them to get a engine from Falcon 9 to be reused, but they're reusing this almost immediately. And then I'm getting an erectile dysfunction ad at the bottom. Very cool.
I need those.
So we've talked about Elon Musk and SpaceX long enough, and I have a feeling anyone watching's probably heard about a ton about them from all the backlash on Twitter against Elon Musk and how bad the SNL episode was. So we'll move on from Elon Musk to a equally disappointing story of SNL being bad. HTC's new headsets that were revealed at ViveCon, which was going on yesterday and today, and they're not revealing any more headsets today, presumably. They revealed everything they had to yesterday in terms of headsets, so that's why we're not covering today's stuff. We'll cover yesterday's. This from Ars Technica. HTC's newest headset signaled the end of Vive's 5-year VR for the home mission. And I'm not gonna paraphrase the article, I'll just get into it. So you have the Vive Focus 3, which really does seem like the ultimate Quest 2 competitor on the surface level. It's got a Snapdragon XR2, same as the Quest 2. It's got dual 2448 resolution, 2448 by 2448, so the same resolution displays on each eye. I believe that's like just above 2K resolution, something like that. It's kind of a weird resolution, but it's just above 2K, and it does improve clarity substantially over the Quest 2. I believe it's like 1800 by 1900 on the Quest 2, some resolution like that. 90 hertz, so not the 120 hertz the Quest 2 can debatably run because it doesn't run it well. Inside-out tracking, which is not a first for HTC, but this really does feel like their first successful attempt, even though we haven't seen it in action yet. And the controllers, by the way, Epic, if you've probably seen them at this point, they look identical to like the Quest Gen 1 controllers.
Yeah. They also look similar to the Rift S controllers.
Yeah. Well, they're the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're just touch
Gen
1s.
Both Quest and Rift controllers, or Rift S controllers, are basically all the same. Not much different.
Yeah, they're they're variants of the Touch Gen 1.
Yeah.
And by the way, personally, just like holding my Quest 2 controller in my hand and then looking at the Vive controllers here, the Focus 3s, I personally like their design more, solely because the button is not in bed. It's a little rubber button that sticks out. I would so prefer that on a Quest 2 controller over what there is now, which is it's like pressed in and glossy. I don't like that. I do like how it's rubber there, and how if you wanted to, you could just use part of your thumb to press it down while your thumb's on the joystick. That's obviously speculation. I don't have it, but come on, it's not that hard to see if you've ever held a VR controller. That's not hard to visualize or anything like that. That's pretty straightforward. What else? But it does have inside-out tracking. It did it have speakers built in? I didn't even look because I'm really disappointed in it. Oh yeah, I think it has speakers kind of like the Quest 2s where they're built into the sides. The Quest 2s suck, so I'm not. No one's expecting those to be great. They have new lenses. I believe they're called pancake lenses. That's what the community's dubbed them. They allow for better FOV. Apparently now it has 120 FOV instead of 110, and I think that's substantially better than the Quest 2 because the Quest 2's FOV is also really awful. And I don't know. And it has full SteamVR connectivity. I believe it has XR support. It can connect wirelessly after launch because they're adding it after launch. It's not going to come at launch. You have to use the USB-C port and plug directly in at launch. And also, I will say the head strap looks really nice, especially compared to the shit on the Quest 2. The biggest problem is ultimately this is in some ways souped up and in some ways the same / kind of downgraded Quest 2 for, I believe it's here, $1,300, $1,400. What do they say here? Yep, $1,300 for what is essentially the Quest 2 with about like I said, very slight changes. And I'll explain why in a second because there's a pretty great reason why. And it makes sense, especially for a company like HTC. But that kind of fucking blows. So this is ended ultimately with Facebook still having complete market dominance over VR. Because I want to get into that real quick. This is kind of shown that, and also I should state, let me finish the article here before I get into the Facebook thing or the other. This is only for business class. If you're a consumer and you want to buy the Focus 3, you can't. You can only buy it if you're a business class customer with them. So you're kind of screwed if you're a consumer until people start reselling these on eBay in a few years. Which, to be fair, that may end up becoming an actual very good, like, lucrative thing. I could see this becoming like the next HTC Vive, the thing everyone has at home in a few years, like 5 years, when they're really cheap on eBay, because it does seem like a good all rounder. It's just at its price, it's not really worth it. At least to me, it seems like the Quest 2 with slight differences. And then we go to the other thing they revealed, the Vive Pro 2, and my personal opinion here that I will inject directly into it because I just can't hold it in. It fucking sucks. It is $1,400 for the full kit. So that's lighthouses, controllers, power supplies for everything, chargers, and the headset. And you get the same screens as the HTC Focus 3. Also, by the way, they're LCDs. They've changed from OLEDs. They're now both LCDs, I believe. You get the same screens, so 2448 by 2448. That's speculation that they're the same model, but I can't imagine they're any different with the same exact resolution like that. It can run 120 hertz instead of 90 hertz, implying to me that they'll probably add 120 hertz support to the Focus 3 later. They still ship with Vive wands for some fucking reason. They didn't redesign the controllers. They didn't include inside-out tracking, which at the very least could have been what they did to make it any different. I don't remember if it has the new pancake lenses or not. I believe it has better FOV. It has better speakers, they're saying, on it, that are built into it. But the Valve Index ones are supposed to be otherworldly, and as someone who's used speakers that are like a step below the Valve Index ones, on the chart of the company that makes them, and I used them yesterday, and then also use the Deluxe Audio Strap speakers. If they're anything like the Deluxe Audio Strap speakers, even slightly better, they're not going to touch anything the Index has. Those Index speakers are still amazing, and there's not, HTC can't really match it, so I really hope they don't push the audio as a big thing, because they cannot match it. That's why HP with the Reverb G2 went and partnered with Valve to use their speakers that they had custom designed for the Index, because they're that good. That's overall about it with it. It's got like the same exact fucking design as the original Vive, except it has 2 cameras on the front, doesn't have inside-out tracking, and it needs, I believe, Lighthouse Gen 2s, which are very prone to failure. If you look up like Lighthouse or Base Station Gen 2 failure, you'll just see people who say, yeah, I got them, and then a week later they started red light of deathing, and they're just dead, and that's it. And HTC won't replace them, or a lot of time they will, granted, but they just die super quickly, and they're a pain in the ass to take up and set up and take down. It's $1,400. First of all, it's more than the Focus 3 at Focus 3's price. It's $1,400. It isn't wireless. It is not a Quest 2 competitor, and more importantly, people were saying, at least in many Discords I was in, if it had eye tracking, that would have been the big thing that made people buy it. It would have been one of the first consumer level VR headsets with eye tracking. And that's huge. Because eye tracking, it's supposed to be a lot better for something called foveated rendering, where it doesn't... foveated rendering means it doesn't render anything that isn't in the direct peripheral vision, as if you're looking straight at it, of the lenses. With eye tracking, it'll do that for wherever your eyes are looking, which makes performance a lot better with no discernible impact to anything, because you can't, you can't see your peripheral vision in any blurrier than it generally, you know what I mean? It doesn't make anything worse. You won't be seeing anything in a lower res because your vision's already blurry at that point, and it just matches that blur. It's not any objective. You won't see pixels on the screen. So people were really hoping for that, like really hoping for that. That would have been the killer feature. And for many, from what I've read, that would have been what pushed people to buy the headset, which you can get for $749.99, I believe. That would have pushed many to go and get that. It has higher resolution screens than the Reverb G2, meaning it is, aside from the Pimax 8K, which is not 8K, mind you, but aside from that, I believe it makes it the highest resolution VR like headset display that you can get, and the Pimax 8K has its own issues with the lenses being weird and making things kind of blurry and unreadable, so I don't count that. It's its own beast. So it effectively, in my eyes and many's, it would make it the highest resolution consumer VR headset that would have hopefully good speakers. They're not going to be index level, but hopefully good. With a chance that they use a similar mounting system to the index ones. They both use similar stuff, except the index ones use 3 golden prongs. So if that's used on the Vive Pro 2, it's possible to swap them. At least I believe it would be. There's no reason it wouldn't. That would be a cool thing. I don't know if it is or not. It's got slightly better FOV. I never had problems, by the way, with the FOV in the original Vive, so I don't think it was ever really a huge issue. It's still better than the Quest 2. The resolution's better. They're not using OLED, so there's no more screen door effect. That's all great and dandy. But what it amounts to is a kind of slightly different Valve Index, I guess. Or like slightly different Reverb G2 for an insane price. You can, right now, literally, you can get a Reverb G2 for $600. And it comes with the controllers and the Reverb G2 itself and everything you need to set it up. So in audio quality, you have the best at that point. In controller quality, you have objectively the worst, and then the thing above worst is the Vive ones, and they're both pretty fucking bad from what I've read. And I've used Vive ones; they're only really good for shooters. So you have like you have the worst controllers at that point with the Reverb G2, but you also only spent $600, not $749 on just the headset to buy new controllers. So you'd have everything you need. You'd have the best speakers, the second best visual quality. You know what? Why would you ever get the Vive Pro 2? What do you guys think? Because I don't understand the thought process.
I don't. Well, I don't know why.
I have no idea. I don't really have anything VR.
Too expensive.
Same.
I
I'm not a
probably
VR
won't
person,
ever
so
be
this
able to
isn't
run it,
an
so-
epic type of conversation.
That's fair. I just don't. I don't understand it. I never, and this really pissed me off because I'm looking over it and I'm like, man, this is really just the Reverb G2, but slightly better in some ways and slightly worse in some other ways. That's what it looked like to me, and that's what it seems to be. I don't know. And here's the best part. HP just revealed, I believe it's the Reverb G2 Plus or Echo. Let me see. It just was announced like yesterday. G2 Plus. Sure, I can probably find what it is. The Omnicept edition. Sorry, it's the Omnicept edition because they have to have a weird ass name for it. The Reverb G2 Omnicept edition, which was just announced, I believe, to be coming out soon. That I believe has eye tracking, and that's what its big thing. It's literally the Reverb G2, but eye tracking, and also guess what? It has lip tracking built in. Unlike because HTC,
Oh boy.
we reported on this I think a bit ago, like in a podcast or two ago. HTC, excuse me, revealed Vive Tracker 3.0s, which are essentially just like smaller, thinner Vive trackers, and lip tracking. It was a giant attachment that you needed for any, I think it works for any VR headset. You just need some type of adapter. Well, this has it built in. So, with the exception of the resolution being about 350 pixels less, with the Reverb G2 now, you would literally have the second best visual quality, the best speakers. You'd have eye tracking, you'd have lip tracking, you'd have again, not great controllers, but you can literally just buy base stations and Knuckles controllers at that point. And you would have the best VR, like one of the best VR setups, if not the best right now on the market, all things considered. And granted, this does not cost $600 like the original Reverb G2 that did release very, very recently. This actually does cost, I believe, a bit more, if not a lot more. I think this is also around $1,200, $1,300. Let me see if I can find a price. Reverb G2 Omnicept Edition. Price. Anything. $1,250. So it's less than the full package Vive Pro 2 or 3 or whatever the hell it is. Vive Pro 2? 3? I don't even know what version it is this Pro at this point. They literally mentioned Vive Pro 3 in this article. I don't know. The Vive Pro 2, excuse me. That's what it is. I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. Because if you buy a Vive Pro, too, you're like with the controllers and everything, you're literally just gonna sell the controllers and then go and buy Knuckles controllers, realistically. And at that point, why wouldn't you just do the same for the Reverb G2? So, I just kind of wanted to rant about that. I know almost everyone on the podcast except Epic don't have VR, so they really don't like know what I'm talking about here. Epic, you at least see though why I have such an issue with this, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I'll quickly mention the reason this makes sense for HTC to do is they've been failing in the consumer market for years, be it in the phone industry when they tried to really get into that and it didn't work. And then VR, it worked with the Vive, and that's about all I can say. It really didn't work with anything after the Vive, the original
Well, I
Vive.
remember when like all the hype was around the Vive, and there's like no other really VR headsets that people talked about, and it was just like, oh man, it's so expensive, and it's
Yeah,
like,
I was excited about
yeah,
the
and then
Vive,
now
but,
we got like Oculus, HTC, Valve, Reverb, or like no, not the Reverb, no, yeah, Reverb G2, yeah.
The special
Yeah.
thing
All the
about
other
the
ones.
the special thing about the Vive for me is I had that same thing and I really wanted it, especially after Charles R. We have a mutual friend who got a Vive pretty early on, and hearing that he got it and like seeing it used in videos, I really wanted to try it. And when I got my Vive Business Edition a little bit ago, just for again, I got it because it was the price of 2 base stations for an entire Vive kit. I actually like set it all up and tried it out for a good few hours just to like do it because I really wanted to try the Vive. It's something special where it's like it was just something I thought was super cool and I still think is super cool. And it's special to me in that sense, whereas I can look at the Quest 2 and say, oh, it's a Quest 2. But I can look at the Vive and say, this revolutionized VR. It really did. It was huge. And HTC have not been able to understand that you need to actually like not incrementally upgrade. Their first foray into VR was the standard. And ever since they set the standard, which has now been pushed, higher by the Valve Index, but every other attempt since then to set a new standard has been seen and is an incremental upgrade. It's not a new standard. It kind of fucking sucks. And it's also very, very confusing when they have the Vive Pro, the Vive Cosmos Elite. There's the Vive Cosmos, I think it's like Elite Plus, and the normal Vive Cosmos. There's just a bunch of fucking different SKUs of the same thing that have slight different changes. And I've never able, no matter how many times I look it up, which is why I'm not right now, I can never keep track of how many different Vives have released. There's literally, to me, there's like 10. And there's not, but it feels like there's 10. They just don't know. I don't think they understood that you can't release a product like that. You have to do like an actual new standard. If you're going to set up VR like this, if you're going to set everyone up with VR and try and foray, VR into the home with their 5-year, apparently end of 5-year mission, you got to actually do it. You can't just release an incremental upgrade that costs about the same price as the original Vive did at launch, if not more, and then do it again and then do it again. And then now what they're announcing is an incremental upgrade to the incremental upgrades. If they had released this instead of the Vive Cosmos series, I guarantee you this would have been considered like, probably a new standard. But they didn't. They actually didn't. This is releasing now. This feels like a 2018 VR headset releasing in 2021, at least to me. So I'm expecting more of the Reverb G2 to actually become, dominant in the market in terms of like high end. And then also something I have not mentioned because it's a bit obscure, and this is also something you guys will definitely have an opinion on. There's the Pico Neo 3. The Pico Neo 3 is on the surface, it looks like a clone of the Quest 2. It is a Chinese-developed VR headset that has eye tracking in one of its premium models, granted. It does have eye tracking, and it uses an XR2. It's the same type of thing, but I also believe it has high-resolution screens and better lenses for better FOV. It essentially seems like the Vive Focus 3 of China, except I believe consumers can buy it? I'm not sure. I'd have to double-check. What do you guys think about that? Buying a VR headset that does have like a wireless VR headset that does have eye tracking and does not have links to Facebook, but has links to China, presumably.
Let's go. I already
No.
gave the Chinese government my information.
Because a lot of people are saying they don't want China spying on their eye movements to figure out where they're at, like what they're looking at and advertising and stuff like that. And I don't know. the counter to that is, what are people going to do when Facebook release like the Quest Pro, which is presumed to have eye tracking? What, are people going to buy it? Because people don't want Facebook.
So.
People don't want Facebook tracking their eyes, but would they rather have Facebook tracking their eyes and selling their data, or China tracking their eyes and at least collecting it, and at most unlikely selling it as well? Because I personally don't see a difference at that point.
There really isn't a difference.
Yeah. And people
Everybody's spying on you. You should learn that by now.
Yeah. I get it if someone was like anti-Facebook, and not anti-Facebook, anti like getting tracked. I'd understand why you wouldn't go for the Pico Neo 3, but I wouldn't understand why you'd then go for the Quest 2. I understand why you'd avoid both and go for a Quest 1, because you don't need to have a Facebook account to use it. That's about that's it. That's all I'd understand. Unless you really wanted eye tracking that badly in a wireless VR headset. And also, I really need to do some more research into Pico Neo 3. With the exception of the front plate being split into two and the bottom part of it being black, it seems to have an identical design to the Quest 2. Like, identical. And I'm wondering if it's literally just... And, it has the same chip, too. The XR2. I'm wondering if it's just a Quest 2 with different lenses and eye tracking. Like, just straight up hardware-wise. Which makes me wonder, first of all, is the Pico Neo 3... gonna be what we end up seeing as the Quest Pro? And second of all, is it possible to sideload Facebook software onto the Pico Neo 3?
That'd be funny.
I know there's only so much you can do with the chipsets, like the XR2 being the same, and not the like other things like RAM and everything like that. I know there's only so much you can do, but even so, I still wonder. I really genuinely do think there's more like that may be actually possible, but we'll have to wait and see. But the reason I've skimmed over it twice, the reason it doesn't make sense for HTC to release the Focus 3 to consumers is they can't match the price that Facebook does. That's the biggest thing. Rumors are, and combined with the fact that the Focus 3 is literally just a slightly better Quest 2, and they want $1,300 for it, the Quest 2 is priced at $300, and that's because Facebook can take your data, because you need a Facebook account, sell your data.
You do still need a Facebook account?
You do, and explaining this is why that won't ever go away.
Yeah, I thought I heard someone say they removed that.
Someone did.
The
Quest 1 doesn't require it. Someone managed to manually remove it on the Quest 2, but nothing works, and they're having to like rebuild and like fuck with the code to try and get it to work properly without Facebook integration. It's also unclear if Facebook would try and shadow ban you. And it's also unclear if Facebook don't have some type of... This is more conspiracy level, but this is actually something Facebook might do, considering what I'm about to say after this. It's unclear if they have some type of silent wireless transmitting chip that can connect to internet via the same credentials you enter for your normal internet that could send data to Facebook indicating the device is compromised or that it has different firmware than Facebook wants, and they could shadow ban it from... both accessing apps you have, from buying new apps, and unlocking your Oculus account, etc. That could happen. And the reasoning for that, a lot of people have, is the fact that it seems like the Quest 2's actual like manufacturing cost is probably around like $700 to $800 a unit. And they're selling it, the minimum one, like minimum spec one, for $300. They're taking a massive loss, a huge loss, on each sale of a Quest 2. And it's because Facebook bank on making up in both Oculus Store, because they own Oculus. They bank on making money on the Oculus Store, both because you can buy stuff to play standalone on the Quest 2. Just to, because you don't need a PC. And because of stuff like, originally it's because of stuff like Virtual Desktop to play on PC is $20 and they get a cut of that, but now they have their own Airlink, so I'm not really sure that really applies anymore. And then also, even if you're in Airlink or VD or whatever, they're still tracking you, and they're still collecting that data on whatever you're doing, and they're selling it. That's how they're making money, is they now have they have marketplace dominance over the VR space, and they can sell, dominant data, which are highly, highly accurate data on VR to advertisers looking to advertise to VR. That's amazing for the advertisers. It sucks for us. But that's how it's so cheap. It's not because the Quest 2 is a cheap piece of garbage, and it's not because it's something that's going to break in 5 seconds, although that does seem to happen with a lot of people. And the lenses or the head strap or the deluxe head strap. There's a few things, but actually, by the way, so for a friend of mine, apparently his shipped with a hair behind the lens from the factory, and he's having to send it back. Yeah, he put it on, and there's just this hair down the middle, so we had to send it back.
That sucks.
Yeah, it really does. The best part is his friend bought it for him as like a birthday gift, and he gets it and he opens it up and he puts it on, and there's a hair in the lens. So
how does that happen? Do you think it was like a rat that scurried through while it was getting fitted or something?
While
they were putting the lens on?
I'm imagining what happens is it's probably that part where they put the lenses on, because it's plastic and it can scratch easily. They probably have human hands with like microfiber gloves put them in. And I'm willing to bet there was probably literally just someone that just happened to have a stray hair that was not attached to his head fall while he was like putting it in really quickly. I'm doing the hand movement and you can't see. I don't know why I am, but like really really quickly. They probably just pull them out, put them in, pull them out, put them in. That's probably how that works. It's manufacturing and probably in China. I can't imagine it's super slow. That's probably how they do it, is they just quickly put them in like that. And he probably just didn't notice it was there, so he just quickly put it in. And then they obviously don't quality test every single headset, because that would be like company suicide. That would cost so much money and nothing would get done. So that probably what happened to not be the one that got quality tested, which in hindsight is probably a good thing for Facebook, because if that got quality tested and had a hair, they probably would have had to halt production and check every single unit. And presumably this is the first guy to have this issue, and hopefully the last. So hopefully it was just this one.
I wouldn't say they'd have to halt production. They'd probably have to do a lot more looking at them. But
well, what they'd have to do, they'd have to stop production of everything for a second, all the ones off the conveyor, get them all assembled, and then put them all probably in a box, put them to the side, and keep manufacturing, and send them to the R&D team to like look at all of them.
Yeah, maybe that.
So it would
The
it would cost
QA team and all that.
Yeah, it would cost money to stop production for a bit, and it would cost a ton of money to check every single headset. So and it would probably be like standard testing procedures and not just checking for hairs. So it would be a lot more money than just turning them on and off. It would be turning them on, doing whatever workaround they have to not sign into Facebook every single time with every headset. I don't know. It doesn't sound fun on Facebook's end. So it's good that this guy's returning it, and he's the only guy that had the problem in a way. And it's not tons of people, because that would be a major issue. I know I probably should return my Quest 2 and get another one. I still have the God Ray issue. It never got fixed. I thought it was, but that was just kind of me saying, yeah, it's new, so it's good. But I do still have it. I don't use my headset enough, and it doesn't bother me that much. It's actually worse on the Vive, and I was fine with it on the Vive. So I'm very much fine with it on the Quest 2. God rays for context, by the way, because I'm not sure if you guys understand. Epic might. I don't know. It's essentially, the lines on like VR headset lenses?
Yeah.
I think I do.
When the light hits them in a certain way, it can cause a beam of light that matches like that line to beam directly. Oh, I just hit the mic. Directly into your eyes, and not like into your pupil, obviously. But it looks like the sun essentially is like shining a beam down on a window. And it's not great. It's not preferable. But there's only so much I feel like I can complain for $300. As much as this really is a $1,200 VR headset that I paid $300 for because they're collecting my data, I still feel like there's only so much I can complain for $300. And as Zaire and Epic know by now, I'm someone who is very, very
picky,
vocal.
Yeah. I will if there's something wrong with a product, I will make sure that it's corrected.
For years on end.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about this. I may end up talking to Oculus again, getting it replaced. I don't know. I really don't want to send it back, to have to reset up my account, reset up the Guardian, download every single app again, sign into anything, set up this, and it's gonna be a pain in the ass. I may see if I can back up an entire full 1-to-1 ROM of what's on there right now. I may do that. and just re-upload it to the new one when I get it. I may do that, but I don't want to do it. But if I can't do that, I don't think. And also I have all my modded stuff set up on it, so I'd have to take all that off. But we'll move on from VR because that went on for way too long, and we'll move on to this final one. The only reason I'm covering it is because like the Corning Museum of Glass is only like an hour from us, right? An hour or two.
I don't.
Yeah, it's not very far.
Yeah. This is from Ars Technica. Apple invests $45 million more in Gorilla Glass maker Corning. Corning again is known for Gorilla Glass. They've made it on every single iPhone as well as tons of Androids. They're the only makers of Gorilla Glass. Everything else is tempered glass or normal glass or plastic. They're the only ones that make the Gorilla Glass, which is their kind of it's a mix of tempered glass and other things in the manufacturing process that make it stronger. Apparently this is according to Apple, to help, quote, expand Corning's manufacturing capacity in the US and drive research and development into innovative new technologies that support durability and long-lasting product life, which is the most generic fucking statement in the world, but you can only get so specific with a company that makes glass that's the sole purpose is to not break under high pressure. So I can't really fault them for that. But yeah, I don't know. This was just kind of a cool story to cap it off because I had a feeling I would ramble on about VR for a while because I was really pissed at HTC.
Yeah, you spent like maybe 40 minutes on that.
I think it was 30.
almost.
I think it was 30.
It was very
Almost.
unnecessary.
Yeah,
It was very long amount of time also.
It was a very long amount of time. My bad. Hopefully someone watching finds it interesting and it wasn't just me rambling. I won't do that again. But yeah, that's all we got. I won't like extend it any longer. Sorry for the VR rant if that was like hated. Thank you guys for watching the podcast. Please be sure to check out the Batman video we released if you didn't already. That did release when this goes up. That'll be last Monday. That'd be much appreciated, and thank you to those who watched it. Shoutouts to everyone listening on Spotify who have not been informed, I don't think. If you did listen on Spotify, we never put out anything saying we're doing the podcast bi-weekly now. Or on YouTube, but it was said in the Discord, and it was pretty clear on YouTube that we're now doing a video and podcast bi-weekly. But so sorry to anyone on any other platform other than YouTube and Discord that had no idea that we've switched to bi-weekly for the podcast, but we have. And if you want more, go to youtube.com/c/SATAMonkeys, or just I think /SATAMonkeys works. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye.